don't use navigation anymore. Any of it. Phone goes face down in the door pocket before I turn the key, and I find my way the old way, the wrong way, getting lost like people used to, and everyone I know thinks it's a quirk. I let them. The real reason takes about 20 minutes, and I've watched it cost me every relationship I've tried to explain it inside of. So I'll lay it out here, once, in order. Except the order's the first thing that went, so bear with me. Because a few of these nights have folded into each other in my head, and I can't always swear which came first. I bought the car secondhand. Cash, quick sale, a tired estate with one of those built-in dash units, the older kind that talks to you. I never set it up. Never typed a home address, never paired a phone to it, never did anything but ignore it, because I used my phone like everybody. I'm telling you that up front so you understand. I did not put anything into that machine. It was already in there. Or it wasn't, and I've got something badly wrong, and I've left a lot of room in this for being wrong. First night, driving back from the work site in the dark, my phone running the route, and the dead dash unit lights up by itself. Calm voice, the voice they all have. Recalculating. I actually laughed, because there was nothing to recalculate. Dead straight farm road, no junction for miles, and a unit I'd never switched on in my life. Electrical fault, I thought. It said it again. Recalculating. And it drew a thin route line peeling off to the left, onto a lane I didn't think was there. I kept straight. My phone took me home. By morning it was nothing. 2 nights later, same stretch, the unit wakes again. But this time my phone navigation cut out the second the dash 1 came on. Just dropped. No signal. In a spot it had always had signal. And the dash said recalculating. And when I looked, there was a destination on its screen now. An address. I read it and went cold all the way down. Because I knew it. It was the house I grew up in. The number, the road, the lot out by the water. I left there at 19. And that house does not exist. The whole little neighborhood got bought out and cleared years back for the reservoir. All of it underwater or scraped to dirt, you can look it up. So I did. Idling on the road, I typed the address into my phone. No results, nothing. And it was glowing on my dashboard the same second. A real destination, a real route, waiting, with an arrival time at the bottom that I didn't look at closely yet. My first thought wasn't ghosts. I want that on record because it's how I am. My first thought was the previous owner. Maybe they'd lived out that way. Maybe it was their saved home address surfacing through a fault. I held that explanation like a railing. Then I checked the address against the bill of sale in the glove box, and the previous owner was from 2 counties over, nowhere near the water. So I made up a better fault. I'm good at that. I can build you a reasonable explanation for almost anything, and I built them all night, one after another, because the alternative was sitting with the fact that a machine I never programmed was navigating me to a dead man's front door. I should tell you about him now, because he's underneath all of it. I left at 19 after a fight, the worst one we ever had. I'm not going to lay the whole thing out. Half of it was stupid and the other half I still can't say with my mouth. But it ended with him on the front step and me in a car, and the last words he ever said to me were, "We'll finish this when you've calmed down." And I drove off. And I never did calm down, not the way that lets you go back and finish something. And 2 years later he was gone while I was still telling myself there was time. That sentence has just sat there my whole adult life. Open, mid-air. We'll finish this when you've calmed down. Now, here's where I have to be careful, because for a long stretch, I genuinely did not know what the GPS was. And I want you to not know it either, the way I didn't, because the not knowing is the part that nearly took me apart. Was it a fault? Faults don't pick your father's address. Was it a recording? Some echo of a route somebody drove 100 times? Was it the place itself, reaching? Was it him? Or, and this is the one I kept coming back to at 4 in the morning, was it me? Was I doing it? Driving out there in some state I couldn't account for and dreaming the rest? I had no way to rule any of it out. I still don't. Pick whichever one lets you sleep. I never found one that did. Third night, I let it take me a little way. I turned onto the lane it wanted, the one I'd have sworn wasn't on any map, except my hands took the turn before my head agreed, the wheel going over like the muscle remembered a thing the mind had thrown out. And the unit went happy. No more recalculating, just the calm voice guiding, in 400 meters continue straight, on a lane that officially wasn't there. And out ahead in all that flat black nothing, a streetlight, on, humming. The old orange sodium kind, lighting a little circle of wet road, no pole line feeding it, no power for miles, standing in the middle of what was supposed to be the bottom of a reservoir. I stopped at the edge of its light. I did not drive into it. I turned around, and the instant I did, the unit said, softly, almost kind, recalculating, like it had all the time in the world. I went back by daylight. Of course I did. Flat scrub, gray shine of water, reeds, wind, and not one thing standing. No streetlight, no lane even, just farm track dissolving into mud. I stood out there feeling like an idiot, and I made the decision to let the whole thing go. It only happened at night. I worked that part out fast, but it took me longer, and it's the rule that frightened me most once I saw it, to work out the other condition. It didn't happen every night. It happened on the nights I'd been running from him hardest. The nights I'd almost called my mother to ask something about him and hadn't. The nights the unfinished sentence had sat in my chest all day. Those were the nights the unit woke, and on those nights the route went further. The destination didn't move, but the road to it got longer, the drive deeper, like the distance between me and that address was being set each night by exactly how much I was avoiding it. And each time, there was more out there. That's the thing I can't make anyone understand. It built. After the streetlight, on a later night, past the light, there was a mailbox. Ours. The dented one my father never fixed. The flag snapped off. I'd have known it blindfolded. Stop. Turn around. Recalculating. Next time the unit woke, the mailbox was still there. And now there was a stretch of fence running off into the dark behind it. Our fence. The rail I used to walk along as a kid with my arms out. Then a neighbor's house. The Harlows. Their porch. Their stupid concrete goose that the kids in the street used to dress up. Sitting solid in my headlights, on land I knew for a fact was underwater. Each return, another layer. The street was rebuilding itself out of the dark, and it was only ever as far along as I was willing to drive. Like the reservoir was being persuaded back into a neighborhood, one returned night at a time, one piece of my childhood at a time, and the price of each new piece was me coming a little closer to the end of the road. And the GPS kept doing things a fault doesn't do. The arrival time would jump backward, further away the deeper I drove, like the destination was retreating to keep me coming. Street names I hadn't seen written anywhere in 15 years started printing themselves across the screen as I passed turnings that shouldn't exist. Marsh Lane, Coburn Row, the names of my childhood, spelling themselves back into the world. One night the calm voice said, between instructions, "Continue, you know the way," which is not a thing they say, which is not a phrase that's in any of them, and I nearly drove into the reeds. You know the way. I did. That was the horror of it. My hands knew every turn. The smell is when I stopped being able to build explanations. Wood smoke,
and under it, a specific sweet pipe tobacco, the one my father burned on winter evenings, a smell I hadn't had in my nose in 15 years, except once, years back, on a stranger's coat in a shop, where it hit me so hard I had to walk out into the street to breathe. That smell came into the car. Windows up, vents shut, sealed, and there it was, thick as a blanket, the smell of being ate and warm and home. And I understood finally, in my body and not my head, that whatever this was, it was not a software fault, and it was not nothing. And the screen, I have to tell you about the arrival time, because I've replayed this more than anything. I'd half noticed for weeks it was strange. It never counted in minutes like they do. It was a longer number, and I'd told myself the clock was broken. That night, with the smell of him filling the car, I read it properly and finally understood what it was counting. Not distance, not minutes, a date and a time. And when I worked out which date, it was the day, 15 years on, near enough to the hour, that I'd sat in a car at 19 and heard, "We'll finish this when you've calmed down," and driven away. The GPS had never been telling me how far.
It had been telling me how long until the conversation we never finished came back around to me, and the number was almost out. The last night, I let it take me all the way. The street was whole, every house lit and solid, the road wet though no rain had fallen, the air outside the glass orange and soft, and the smell of wood smoke and his tobacco so thick it was like driving through the inside of my own childhood. The unit had gone quiet, no instructions left to give, and at the end of the road, our house. Lights on downstairs, the warm orange of the front window exactly as it was. And on the step, a shape. A man standing the way he stood. And as my headlights came up the road, he lifted one hand. I have a photograph of him doing that. In the glove box, creased. Been in there longer than I've owned the car. I'd half forgotten it was there. Him on that same step, one hand raised, and you cannot tell from the picture. I have stared at it for 15 years and you cannot tell whether he's waving you in or shielding his eyes from the sun or saying goodbye. And here he was doing the live version of it, the unanswerable gesture at the end of a road that the world swears is at the bottom of a lake. "You have arrived," the unit said. The countdown read 0. And here is the picture I'll carry to the end of my life, the one I'd give anything to put down. I stopped the car at the bottom of the drive, engine running, and I looked in the rearview mirror to check the road behind me. And the road behind me was gone. Not dark. Gone. Erased to the flat black water it had always been, the reflection of one moon on it. No road, no lane, no street light, nothing. The reconstruction only reached as far as my back bumper. Ahead of me, my whole childhood, lit and warm and waiting, my father on the step with his hand raised. Behind me, the lake and the moon on it, and nothing. The car sat exactly on the line between the two, between the world that no longer existed and the world that did, and the only two directions I had were 30 feet forward to finish the sentence, or backward into black water. I'm not going to tell you I was brave. I put it in reverse. I backed off the line into the dark, and the dark held the wheels, road or no road, and I turned around, and I drove into the nothing, away from the lit window and the raised hand, and behind me, the orange went out of the air piece by piece, the way a thing is switched off room by room, and the unit went dark, and it has never woken again. Not once in the years since. I made the safe choice. That's the whole story of me and my father, if you boil it down. I made the safe choice at 19, and I made it again at the bottom of that drive. And the only difference is that at 19, I didn't know it was the last time.
That night I knew. I knew exactly what was 30 feet away, lit up, waiting. The conversation I'd been not having for 15 years finally laid out solid in front of me. The 1 second chance no person is ever actually given. And I recalculated, and I went home. So that's why I don't use navigation. People assume I'm scared it'll glitch and strand me somewhere wrong. It's the opposite.
I'm scared it'll take me somewhere. Right. I'm scared that one ordinary night I'll type in the supermarket, a friend's place, anywhere, and the voice will go calm and certain and say, recalculating. And I'll look down and see that wet orange road and the countdown ticking to 0. And this time, the road behind me will already be gone before I notice. And I won't be quick enough to back into the dark, and the choice will be made for me. And I'll have to walk up the step. I don't know which of us that should frighten more, because here's what's underneath everything, the thing I can't set down. He raised his hand, twice now, once in a photograph I can't read, and once on a step at the end of a drowned road. And both times I drove away without ever finding out whether it meant come back or goodbye. And the worst part isn't that a machine knew the way to a house that isn't there. It's that the porch light was on, that something out in all that erased dark had kept it burning. 15 years, kept the route loaded, kept counting down, kept rebuilding the road toward me, a piece at a time, patient, the way you wait up for someone who said they'd come. And I didn't go in. I still didn't go in. Now the light's off, and the road's gone, and I'm the one who turned around. Again. I just wanted to get home safe. I always just want to get home safe. I never once stopped to think about who's still sitting up at the other address, the one I keep refusing to drive to, the one I'll spend the rest of my life not quite able to type.